are not enjoying this passion of education. Now, meet Anika. She stands first in class, studies 6 hours a day, but she is not understanding anything. She's just memorizing all her notes. This is my nephew, Shehzad. He wants to build his own car someday, but his teachers just call him a troublemaker. Now, this is Farhana. She has a lot of questions, but nobody has the time to answer them. And this, I used to be one of them. I could not catch what was going on in class. My parents used to say, why don't you ever come in the top 3 of your class? And, you know, I had no answer. But I got the right teacher. So, you know, that is what brought me here today. This is Wasifa. She is suffering from cancer. Her recovery will take a year. Does that mean her education will be at a standstill? Well, every child has special needs, and when we fail to recognize them, we are losing out on talent and creativity. We are sending into the workforce mechanized beings who have not much to contribute to innovation and improvement. And as a result, I came up with my idea, Moto School. I have been teaching for a few years now, and I come across all these kinds of children, and I want to help all of them, but my reach is not that high. So why not use digital connectivity to help my cause? This is a non-profit platform. Moto School, Moto is a Bangla word which means grasp, so a school that's in your grasp. And all you need for this is an internet-enabled device and an internet connection. Now, who will be the target audience? Basically, anyone willing to study, learn better, or willing to teach. They can be parents of children, they can be students, the school students themselves. All they need is basic knowledge of the internet and some basic education. They can hail from both urban and rural areas, belonging to the socioeconomic backgrounds of upper middle class to lower middle class. Now, let me take you through the website. Anyone can come and open a profile and then choose the grade and subject they're looking for. And this will range on a lot of topics. For instance, for grade mathematics, these are the topics, a lot of to do. Now, let me resources. Why do we need resource of a text? Well, that picture over there, that's what the heart in our textbook looks like. Anyone enjoying them like this, learn properly first. So, buy an original book at Taka 1,000, 10 books per year, 10,000 Taka, and then year after year you have to spend. Online, you get this for free. And online, you get like 5 or 6 books instead of your 1 textbook. So that's where Moto School comes in. Now, some alarming trends have been observed. Students are not opting for science subjects. Their basics in mathematics are shaky, and especially in rural areas, the children, they're not getting access to quality education, so we do not see many rural children doing really well. So this is basically for a shortage of quality teachers overall, and as a result, our tutorials will help one teacher who is, you know, driven, who wants to make a difference. He can reach out to so many children out there at one time. And then English communication, we have so many gaps. And so when we hear these audios, pronunciation of children will also be helped. Now, science. I studied pressure in class 8. And if you ask me why is the water not falling from that glass, I won't be able to answer it. But I found out that this is because air pressure is acting from all sides to keep the water inside. So when children do experiments like this, they will actually remember stuff way better than they are currently doing. We all know about pressure. Fire extinguisher uses pressure in a very great way to do something very useful. However, unless the children learn how this works, what is the point of knowing the definition of pressure? So in this way, I visualize that our children will be able to apply their knowledge through effective learning here. Now, they can also practice, get answers and explanations. And we have this really bad culture of, you know, just talking about marks. What is your position in class? Did you get 90%? What message are we sending to the children? Effort counts for nothing. So here at Muto School, we will reward effort. You will get points for the amount of material you've learned, for the amount of tests you have completed, not only how many answers you got right. And then the children will be ranked in the manner, so it's both fun and encouraging. Now, the children may have questions regarding study materials, so there will be volunteers on our website who can answer the questions through video chat or message. And then this is a novel concept in Bangladesh. So promotion will be done through the following ways: bulk SMSing, establishing of B2B links, and advertising, newspaper ads, billboards, etc. Moving on. For volunteer support, we have already talked to Teach for Bangladesh, and they're willing to provide us with the volunteer support. For affiliation and financial aid, we want to approach A2I, which is the digital wing of the Bangladesh government. Content development will be done with the help of the teaching research department of a reputed university. And to endorse our website, we want Professor Dr. Muhammad Zafar Iqbal, because he has been a staunch supporter of understanding. Now, this is a not-for-profit website, but we have to generate some revenue to fund our growth and to be sustainable. So these are the revenue sources. And moving on, as we enjoy lowered internet costs thanks to the innovation of telecom companies, and as we enjoy lowered smartphone costs, we will get more and more participation from people of the bottom of the pyramid. And there will be certain challenges such as the creation of fake profiles, etc., but that has to be tackled through thorough monitoring and a strict ban policy. Now, considering only 4 Telenor markets, Bangladesh, India, Pakistan, and Myanmar, with this kind of need, we have a target audience of 206 million. And this website is highly scalable with slight content modifications. Now, at the end, what will happen if more children learn better, if more children develop a passion for education? They will start to enjoy their work. They will basically know more about what they are doing, and that will improve their skills, earning capacity as well. They will be more motivated, they'll be more productive, we will see higher innovation in work, and as a whole, societal development will be ensured. And in the long run, I am sure we will see GDP and standard of living increase. Now, in the end, the power of internet is unprecedented. So in Muto School, we want one teacher, one idea, one teacher, one idea, one book to reach millions of people out there at one time. And while you may say there might be some similarities with other education websites, this is more holistic than any of them. We're not just providing videos only for understanding. We're giving them practicing material. We are giving them volunteer help. We are giving them, other motivations such as the point system. We are basically making children enjoy education once more. On that note, I would like to end my presentation and welcome the floor for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Abreshme. Let me start a round of questions. In the beginning, you told us, you set out the target group. You spoke about the lower and upper middle class. What about the rest of the pupils? Can you imagine solutions that would make it possible for the children who come from very poor households to access this resource?
Thank you, ma'am, for your question. Well, the thing is that the smartphones that are available on the market today, they come in as low a price as Taka 3,000. And, even people like a rickshaw puller, they have a smartphone, and their children, they go to a free school. So if they're not getting quality education there, they can use their smartphones for accessing Muto School because they cannot afford private tuitions. and they cannot afford, good schools, the high fees. So it will benefit them as well, but I did not initially include them in my target audience because there is a mentality shift that needs to happen. Because right now they have the mindset that their children do not even need education, let alone quality education. So once, this picks up pace, I am sure we will get more and more participation from those people. Thank you.
I have another one, and that is about the people who are using these services. You spoke about volunteers. Could you share some thoughts about how the volunteers will be recruited and how their competence will be verified and maintained?
Okay, ma'am, each firm operating in Bangladesh, they're already providing education through their volunteers. The volunteers are well trained. So we are basically going to recruit volunteers from them. So that's how we're ensuring the quality. And a lot of the youth are very motivated today. They want to bring about societal change. They want to help people, and they also look for, some community service credits to send to university application. A lot of people like organization, and they have expressed a willing. It's very simple. They just log in from a computer and chat with someone. They can do it from their homes. So a lot of them have expressed their willingness to work with us.
Thank you.
Adiba, thank you so much. I was relating to your stories very well, actually. Both when I was growing up, not so much of a good student myself, and also now that I see my son, who's probably is in one of your pictures. I will ask one question and I'll let it go for the next person. You had two types of content, right? One was more connecting to how we are not reaching out to certain kinds of personalities at the early age. And then you showed, and that was more about interest on education, right? And then you showed some functional topics that can be spread across your tool, whatever. How do you think that an application would help you connect to children who is not already connecting to the academic system, who needs more or care?
Thank you.
Which is not necessarily based on technology. It's not a technological issue. It's more of a personal, emotional issue.
Thank you, sir, for your question. Basically, the children who need the psychological help, they can talk to our volunteers, because when growing up, so I said I was not a good student till class 7, 8. Then, I had this teacher. He was not really qualified or anything. He was just, studying at university himself. But, there was a difference, like the age difference was not that high. So I could not talk to my parents, that easily about all this, but I could talk to this person. So our volunteers, they can, basically talk to the children and help them. And of course, you have also given me a really great idea, because we can include some kind of, experts on our team as well, so that they can be able to help children like them even better.
It's more like counselors.
Yeah,
it's not content driven.
Yeah, they can chat, because we all have options, so
right.
They can connect that way.
Two questions. A lot of content already out there in the internet. If you had a choice, would you rather link up that content or make your own content? You only have one choice. What path would you take?
Then we would have to make it, because there is no content strictly for our curriculum, and that is a very big problem, because I can Google a lot of things, but I won't get anything specifically designed for the needs of our curriculum. So given the choice, content has to be developed. There is no other option.
Why do you think this is the idea that should be at Norway?
Okay, that's a difficult one. So I think this is the idea that should be in Norway because, you know, over there, I'm sure they don't encounter problems like this. They are the, you know, not to this scale, I feel. So they should get, I think this will give a glimpse of how education is in Bangladesh, and it can help them understand, you know, how a simple idea, a simple need gap can be addressed to make a big difference. And I think it's difficult to grasp the concept, the technical part. It's not very difficult to grasp, and then a lot of people can easily relate to this idea more than, you know, some very tech savvy idea out there. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Adiba. Just a kind reminder to the judges that we have 5 minutes for Q&A session. So if you could stick to that time, that would be really appreciated. Thank you so much. Next, we have Shabab Rahman from IBA.
I'm Shabab Rahman from she decreases the cultural gap, increases the students' culture, cross-cultural competency. And I believe that through this, the students would be able to actually become more tolerant and more understanding of other cultures. So keep it. Inshallah, I will have the opportunity to go to Norway. Thank you.
Shabab Rahman from IBA, please take your floor. Shabab, before we start, again, another question from me.
Okay.
Usually participants are asked what they would do if they win the competition. I'm going to ask you a different question. What would you do if you do not win the competition?
Well, I would first of all congratulate my friends, and then I would, I guess, just keep following my dreams. Life would go on as it is.
That's the spirit. Thank you so much, Shabab. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up. Off you go.
They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they are rapists, and some, I assume, are good people. Now, this is what Donald Trump had to say about the Mexican immigrants. In a book called Mein Kampf, Adolf Hitler stated that the personification of the devil as a symbol of all evil assumes the living shape of the Jew. Now, even though the amount of hatred in both these statements are different, they have the same underlying basis: racism. Now, racism is hammered into us from the way we are reared, from the people around us to the media. Everybody exhibits some level of implicit bias. As a result, our ability to identify and collectivize as people is destroyed. Our judgment is clouded. So, to solve this, the idea is very simple. Since racism is ingrained in the formative years, it is important and I believe most effective to target the children. So we bring these children to interact with culture that they're alien with. So schools all around the world would actually incorporate this cross-cultural activity as part of their program throughout their junior sections, where students would sit in front of a computer and have video conversations with students from another part of the world. They would be talking about their rituals, their way of life, their tradition, their festivals. So for example, a Norwegian student could learn the art of sushi directly from a Japanese student. Now, there would be a global governing the program through which the schools could actually sign up. Classes of a registered school from a country would be paired up with that of another country, having a completely different cultural background. Now, there would be no exams for this program. However, the students would be asked to write down about their perception of the culture they're about to interact with, whatever that perception may be. Now, after the course, they would be again asked to do the same so that their changes in perception can be identified. Now, it is crucial for the students to have a reasonable command of the English language to ensure effective communication. Now, this program would be called the Classroom Initiative because when the students would be talking, if they're standing on the two sides of a glass wall, they would be able to interact with each other freely. The only thing separating them would be the physical barrier. Now, the classroom would be implemented in two distinct phases. Phase one would be an experimental phase where we would actually get in contact with the NGOs around the world and pick a few schools from the various countries through the NGOs. In phase two, we would actually open the program for all the schools around the world to participate in. Now, we will also have our own platforms for the video chatting sessions and websites through which the schools could actually sign up for the program, and the parents and the teachers can be updated on a regular basis. Now, we would form partnerships with Telenor for the Internet for All program and with Microsoft and Google to reach the schools in the remotest corner of the world. Now, the two challenges that would come to mind are the cost and the persuasion. The cost really isn't an issue for this program because the schools that already have the facilities to accommodate the video chatting sessions would be signing up in the first place. And even if a school is interested but doesn't have the facilities, all they would require is the microphones and for the sole purpose of the program. Now, the NGO play a huge role in the persuasion process. They would go to the schools and convince them of the benefits this would bring to the students. Promotion through Microsoft and Google would also facilitate this persuasion process. Now, the benefits of this new and informed generation would trickle down everywhere. Let's take a moment to imagine this up in a diverse environment. The level of cultural cohesion they would be able to achieve would be unprecedented. Eliminating this cultural or ethnic barrier would make them highly productive teams. But the biggest benefit of all is not in the utility of it, but in the morality. Now, some news agencies have this direct incentive to create notion among the people. For example, the web of deception that many news channels use to weave the Islamophobia phenomenon into the minds of the people can affect them vastly. Now, a student participating in this program, when students participating in this program would actually come in contact with other Muslim students, to them, the contradictions between what they see, what they hear on the television, and what they're actually experiencing now would be quite evident. Now, the answer to racism has always been about bringing the people close to each other, about tolerance, about changing the way people. And that is why the motto of the classroom will be, change the perception, change the world. Thank you.
All right, Shabab, thank you very much for that. Let me kick off the questions. First, when you went for architecture, how they say, you mentioned one global body. Now, what would that global body do, and who would select them?
Well, actually, the global body would pair up, as I stated, pair up the classrooms and they would also, for example, keep track. They could conversations, although it may take a lot of manpower to do so, but the conversations to ensure, to avoid problems such as cyberbullying, and yeah, that's pretty much it. And oh, and as for the second part, like how would we choose, how we would choose them? Well, I have to put a little more thought into it. I actually haven't.
No, that's fair. Now, this is something that would take some time from the students. How would you go about creating support so that this activity could be integrated into the curriculums around the world?
So first, we would need to convince the parents to actually let their children to participate in a cross-cultural program such as this. Then we will need to convince the school to actually integrate it. And for the students, well, I think they would find this to be quite an interesting activity to take part in, because they're going to meet people, students, just like them from around the world. And one thing I should mention that it would be crucial for the students to have some level of some mastery of the English language, reasonable command of the English language, which I already mentioned. So,
Last question from my side. It's about dissemination. You mentioned that it would be necessary to have access to internet, of course. Do you have thoughts of this success for all the students around the world who do not have computers or access to computers?
so in this case, what Grameenphone already has their own online school, in which there's a school in Bandarban where they actually have video class, digital classroom. So instead of doing a one-on-one conversation, video conversation, they could even include the whole class. So it could be a class-to-class conversation. And even if there's no access to the computer, it can also be done on a mobile platform.
Right. I'll hand over to my co-judges.
There's very few times I get really excited. And I think I've been to a lot of events, a lot of startups, but what you've come up with is something exciting. And it's actually really, really good.
Thank you, sir.
My only one question is that what is the benefit for the NGOs?
I'm sorry?
You talked about getting the NGOs to go persuade the classroom. What is the benefit for the NGOs?
Well,
why would they do it?
Well, cross-cultural programs such as this, I'm quite sure they haven't. So it is an interesting prospect to look into. I mean, with the increasing unification of the world, I mean, and the way we're becoming globalized, it would at some point become important for us to be culturally aware
But wait, tell me that you're sorry. Didn't think I'd turn around. You say it's too late to apologize. It's too late. I said it's too late to apologize. It's too Would you like it? Hey, I left you with the fire. Still nothing new. And you sorry like a stranger. Haven't left the paper. But I'm afraid it's too late to apologize. It's too late. It's too late. It's too I say it's too holding on your own, got me 10 feet off the ground.
What a brilliant performance. That was beautifully choreographed. And I think I should take a dance lesson from you guys. But moving on, for this show, let's bring the next contestant, Mohammad Samit Razak from North South University.
I'm Mohammad Samit Razak. I'm from North South University. I'm the founder of the project Shoujo. It's basically a solar-powered mobile classroom which goes to different areas of Bangladesh and break the barriers of people who have lost the bridge between them and the information. So it's going to different places and providing basically knowledge and education.
Mohammad Samit Razak from North South University, please come on stage. Samit, you said you play in a rock band. So I'm going to ask you a relevant question. Who's your favorite musician?
My favorite musician is Bono from U2.
Oh, all right. That makes my job much easier. So say you win the competition and you go to Oslo, and you're walking and socially networking. What if you see Bono in the corner? What would you tell him?
If I see Bono in the corner, first of all, I will tell him to take his glasses off and take a photo with me.
I can do that for you.
But you're not Bono.
Maybe I will be. You never know. Good luck with that.
Thank you. Can you have the video, please?
Bangladesh is a small country with 160 million of people. Here, most of the people do not have access to proper information. For example, a farmer loses 30% of his crops every year due to lack of proper information. Project Shoujo will allow them, teach them how to use the internet and technology by using the solar-powered mobile classrooms. Now, why is it solar-powered? Because Bangladesh has an electricity crisis of 1,000 megawatt every year, and we wish to use a solar energy for the long-term sustainability.
Good evening, honorable judges. Before I start, I want to share two stories. As we can see, this is a farmer, his name is Karamat Ali. He's from a village, and he sees that every year, 1/3 of his crops are destroyed due to lack of knowledge about pesticides. Now, he's a poor farmer. What can he do about that? Moving on. This is another guy. His name is Rahim. He's age 10 from a village in Manikganj. He sees that people are using the internet, people are using the mobile, but he has never felt it. He wants to come forward and explore the world, but there is no medium for that. Now, these two stories have something in common. Bangladesh is a small country with 160 million people, but unfortunately here, only 33 million people have access to internet or use internet because most of the people do not know how to use the internet, do not know how to use the technology. It has the 8th largest population in the world, which means that the education problem, the knowledge problem in Bangladesh. Now, what is the main pain for the people of Bangladesh? First of all, there's absence of proper systems for learning. There are no proper systems so that they can learn and access the wide pool, the power of internet. This problem has made me thought about an idea. The idea Shurjo, it's basically a solar-powered classroom. The idea is very simple. The solar-powered classroom is mobile. It will go to different locations, education for the people of Bangladesh who are less privileged. The big idea, as I've said, is to provide knowledge for all and ensure the vocational training, the basic technology knowledge for the people. We know at Telenor, you guys believe that the long-term sustainability to empower people for their better future is the main. My idea is that I want people to ensure knowledge and have the proper access to knowledge and information. Now, the big idea has elaborated here. First of all, power is taken to the refurbished cargo container, which will provide the electricity. We are using low-powered consumption computers, which will only consume 3 to 5 watts compared to the traditional 150 watts computers. There will be one trainer to manage all this, and the computers will be connected by a WAN or a cellular network. Now, I have also kept a section for the disabled children. Whenever a disabled children is born in a village, their education stops where they are born. So there will be a gesture learning systems in the classroom where these disabled children can have information. Moving on, let's take a view inside the classroom. The classrooms will typically look like this, comprised of low-powered laptops. It will give a picture-based learning so that the farmers, the children, the underprivileged people can have easy access to learning and can learn very easily. The main unique selling proposition of my idea is it's self-sustainable classrooms with a backup of generator if in some case the solar energy is not available. Now, the proposition, what actually am I providing? It's a basic technology and internet and also the knowledge for all. How am I providing that? Using the energy efficient solar mobile classrooms. And why am I providing that? Because these knowledgeable people, if we empower them, have the power to change the world. Now, a lot of people have been asking me, why solar power? Why not electricity? Solar power is very costly. First of all, it's environable and sustainable. Secondly, Bangladesh has a shortage of 1,000 megawatt electricity every year, which causes almost 50% of load shedding in different areas. So solar power is very much sustainable. It's a green initiative, and it's for the long-term benefit of the environment. Now, the process. First of all, a database will be created according to the location or the people we are going to visit. Secondly, the content. Thirdly, the demonstration and awareness. And fourthly, register and learn. The content. Now, content will be a big issue for this case. For this reason, we will be using cloud-based offline database system installed into the system. Now, where can we find this content? From the BRAC schools, which has been educating people in Bangladesh, and also the 10-minute school. I currently work in an education website called 10-minute school, which creates the content for different kinds of people to provide basic knowledge. We can also use that source of for us. From this project, they are getting to know about the basic methods, the power of technology. For example, can have greater production by having the proper information. We're going to have offline and online reach, which we are going to promote. The execution process. The execution process will be divided into 3 phases. Firstly, there will be a pilot project for 3 months. And secondly, the launching and the optimization process. Now, I've done some research and found out the areas which need to be attention first. For example, the Badarganj, Mithapur, Kaune area of Rangpur. Now, you have to understand that these places have internet. These places have 3G and 2G internet. But most of the people here do not know how to use them. So I've been targeting these places first. Now, how the plan actually works. In a simple words, a van will stay 3 days in one upojila. It will cover 10 upojilas in 1 month if we consider 30 days a month. It will enlighten 500 people in 3 months. Can you believe it? 500 people with the power of knowledge, the power of technology. If we employ 5 vans, it will cover 50 upojilas and enlighten 1,500 people in 3 months. Now, we have to understand that we have to evaluate this project first. We will evaluate the lacking, the content problem, and revise them, and finally launch them with 15 vans after the pilot project. Now, a follow-up program is very much important in this case. How much can a people learn in 3 days? That's why we will teach them how to use the internet, how to use Skype, so that they can contact us later and take information from us. It will ensure a long-term sustainability of them and also our project. Now, let's revisit their lives. This guy didn't have proper information. After we have educated them, he might have the education about the farming, the proper technology. He doesn't fear technology anymore, and his production might increase by 50%. This guy, Rahim, he didn't know how to use the information and technology. He learned to access Google. He has been amazing his friends with the knowledge, weird facts about the world by the power of internet that we have gave them through our classrooms. Now, the financial feasibility is totally planned here. The first one, the cloud-based system, costs around $27,000, excluding the van. And the second one, cost which are offline to be installed into the database. Now, very important for this project. Why will people want to give us information? We have targeted BRAC, access to information. Now, access to information, or BRAC, is currently investing in green initiatives. My one is actually a green initiative because there is no carbon emission. We are using the solar power and it's totally environment friendly. So they might be interested to invest in us. We can use the network advantage of Grameenphone and the cloud-based system servers. And we can, it can be also a CSR part for companies like Samsung, Grameenphone, and British American Tobacco. Now, there are certain challenges which we will face. First of all, remove the fear of technology from the people. Secondly, the quality, in particular, racial evaluation can be done, or the perception of the people and the investors. Now, in the future, we want to develop a website and app which will contain the contents which we will also want the countries, for example, India, Pakistan, Myanmar, which have similar problems and similar demography. Now, in conclusion, I want to say that Nelson Mandela once said that education or knowledge is a powerful weapon which we can use to change the world. My idea is connecting a bridge between these unknowledgeable people, the underprivileged people, to the information. I hope this will ensure long-term sustainability, and with this, I want to end my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Samit, for taking us through this exciting presentation. I will start off with a few questions. Now, towards the end, you set out how this will be executed. Could you share some thoughts on who will actually run the day-to-day operations? Do you imagine a organization that is new, or do you imagine an existing organization doing that? Or how will you investments? I'm very convinced. How are you going to do that?
First of all, it's a very good. The project I'm going to run by myself with the help of some of my friends, and it will be also invested by some of the investors, as I've talked about, for example, Access to Information Project or the BRAC organization. Now, why would they want to invest it? First of all, it's an environment-friendly green initiative. Now, government has currently working for the green initiatives under the Access to Information project. They have been published information that they will fund green initiatives or project like that. So I hope that they will be interested in this. And secondly, the BRAC organization, they have been also funding or wanting to fund the green initiatives. So I think the BRAC will be also interested to fund in this thing.
Another question I have is about the information and the topics. Need a lot of information and a lot of knowledge about what the current problems are in different parts of the country to adapt the issue that is addressed that.
That's actually a very good question, and it has been my concern. First of all, I'm going to provide them a basic knowledge. For example, what are the booming sectors of our country? For example, farming, well, most of them. So we will provide them information about the farming. Along with that, the basic. After that, after the pilot project, we will evaluate it. We will evaluate our content, we will revise them, and finally launch with a launching plan.
Right. So, thank you from my side.
Thank you,
I hand over to my co-judges.
Hi, Samit.
Hi, sir.
I can actually see the passion coming out from you.
Thank you very much, sir.
You strongly believe in this.
Yes, sir.
I see. Great. Leading up from those questions, actually, I have two. Who's developing this content? Is it going to be you, or will you employ partners? Number one. And number two, we always talk about the digital divide, and then the classroom setup that you showed us, I would say visionary, especially in a van kind of a setting. How would you or encourage out in the villages to come and sit there and using these tools to get the knowledge that they would desire?
Sir, the first question is, actually it's a very interesting point that you have raised about the content. It's a difficult issue. For example, providing them primary education. I have an answer to this. BRAC organizations, they're already doing different kinds of projects. For example, in conventional ways to provide education to the farmers. So we can partner with them and take their content and use it for our own good. The idea is actually very simple. We will give them knowledge with the help of pictures. As I said before, there are certain software, for example, the kinetic TM software or the gesture learning, will make the process very easy. And secondly, I'm also working in an education website, as I said before, which develops the content for normal people. Basically, it's very simple. They just have to enroll, sit there, learn with the help of the technology or the learning systems, because the people I'm targeting, they must have a minimum literacy to learn about the technology. You can just target with 1% literacy people for this technological knowledge. Hence, we will target them and they can learn easily with the help of the technology.
Two questions. If you had a choice, instead of doing that classroom or putting it on a tea stall, Bangladesh chai dokane, would you do that? And number two is, if you had to pick one team, who would you partner up with during this out of these 7 teams?
The question which you have raised, I have faced this question various times as before. First of all, a chai dokan or a tong dokan, it's not mobile. My one is mobile. It can go to different places and provide education for the people at different frame of times. For example, one village, it can stay in one upajila one day. It can go to another upajila in 3 days. So it's covering a wide range of people. But this tong dokan, as you are saying, it's not mobile. It's staying in one place. And how can it, for example, interactive learning, which I am providing? And thirdly, the most important, your tong dokan is not self-sustainable. My one is using the solar power. I want to add one point. Bangladesh has a solar power of 13 hours a day, which is immense. If we can grab that opportunity, we can generate huge amount of solar power. And currently we have an electricity crisis, but the tong dokan will be using electricity or something like other things like that. So I think my project is different in this way. And the second point which you have raised, I have some of my friends who are already interested in a project like this, who want to be entrepreneurs actually. So if I have to form a team of 7 people, I will form a team with them. And also the people who are currently working like this. For example, one of my brother works for a volunteer organization. You can take them also. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Samid. Next, we have Mohammad Zakaria from Buet.
Engineering technology. My idea is to create a hands-on platform for visually impaired students so that they can easily get access to educational materials available to them. And it's really great honor for me to be here with all of the participants today, and pray for me that I can make the next level with your prayers. Thank you.
Mohammad Zakaria Haider from Buet, please come on stage. A question for you, not related to your presentation at all. Have you ever been to Oslo?
Not actually.
All right. Have you ever been to any of the cold countries?
No.
All right, just a piece of advice from somebody who have survived Norwegian weather 8 years ago. It's going to be really freezing. So make sure if you win it, and if you go to Oslo in December, in the winter time, make sure you wear layers and layers of jackets.
Okay. Thank you.
Good luck with your presentation.
Assalamu alaikum. I want to share a story of my life. It was the end of last year. I was standing just beside my university campus. Suddenly, a stranger stood beside me and asked me to help him. I was very curious because I never met someone like him before. So I started to walk with him. So on my way to Buet from Solimullah Muslim Hall of Dhaka University, I got the chance to talk with him. It was very surprising for me to hear that he was enrolled to master's degree program at the same time, preparing for the BCS examination and trying to go Australia to pursue his PhD. I was moved by his passion, his motivation towards education. And that always motivated me to do something for people. His name was Ronnie, a student of Dhaka University, the first visually impaired person I ever met in my life. Later, I got the opportunity to work to other visually impaired people in the same university with different projects and get to know about their problems, their struggles, the opportunity they need to overcome these problems. So I would like to ask, have you ever imagined yourself of a visual impaired person to understand how they feel, how they do different types of work? Even if your answer is yes, believe me, the real scenario is much more worse than that, because you can imagine or visualize the beautiful scenario of sunrise or sunset, but they can't. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Zakaria Haider from Bangladesh University of Engineering Technology, presenting my idea, Dishari, which is an online knowledge sharing platform for these visual impaired people. Right now, there are 285 million visually impaired people in this world. Among them, 39 million people are completely blind. Another thing is, 90% of these people live in developing countries. And the most alarming thing is that only 30 to 40% of these people are engaged in education process. We have 2 million visually impaired people, where 0.8 million people are, 2/3 of these people are female population. At present, in Bangladesh, there are almost 6 registered schools, 7 NGOs, and almost 13 vocation among these people. But still, the rate is less than 25%. One of the main problems of getting education for these people is that they feel hesitation. And the reason behind that is there are lack of resources they need to get themselves educated. And another thing is the psychological support they need, because before the examination, their tension was not for the examination. They were tensed because they could not find the people who can help them at the time of examination, who can write the scripts for them. Is to create an online knowledge sharing platform, including all the existing NGOs, government organization, volunteer organization, and individual effort to a common platform working together to make the process of getting education of these people. It's an online library where audio version of books will be stored. People can get upload or download the contents from there. As you know, visual impaired person uses either braille formatted book or MP3 version of the book. So the library will contain only the audio version of different types of book. Different organizations who are currently working in this sector to impart education can share their contents, their materials, their area of interest in this platform, so that people get to know which organization or individuals are working in which sector. It will contain a location-based service which will help them to find the available film. People can find these visual impaired people can find other visual impaired people in his locality. They can exchange braille books, braille keyboards, braille printer, problems, their feelings there. If he or she cannot find any book in the online library, post it in the forum, and the respective organization accordingly and help him afterwards. Will be created collecting the access that organization have right now. After that, it will be updated based on the demand that we will get from the online help desk. One need to be get to the plan, and the time of someone information the location-based service that we are talking about. And to make the operating process easier for the visual impaired people, we will create a mobile that will write something on the website, and voice recognition based search facility them to collect the content in the website in an efficient way. So this platform will first be created based on the people of Bangladesh, but it can be patronized worldwide in different parts of the world. So it will connect millions of people to a common platform. It will give them it will give a platform to share their feelings, their problems, their contents in a common platform, so that people can know about each other, people can get the psychological support from each other, and with everyone's combined effort, we will transform their level of education to a whole new. The story I was talking about earlier in my presentation, last month I went to meet him and knew that he went to Australia to pursue his PhD. And the thing I learned from them is with little support, with little effort, amazing things can be done by these people. And this is the mission, vision, and ultimate goal of Dishari. That's all from me. Thank you.
Hi.
Hi, sir.
Zakaria, very inspiring.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And somehow I felt your emotion when you were asking those questions, whether we ever see ourselves in their shoes. And probably you have. to a
Yes,
certain
sir.
point.
Yes.
I won't ask why you thought this was necessary, but I would like to clarify your target audience. I'm assuming these are people who are already, they are pursuing education. So you're not necessarily connecting to the masses. It's those who are pursuing further enhancements in their academic or professional lives. Am I correct?
So can you please ask the question?
Like your target audience.
Yes.
Who are they really?
The visual impaired persons.
Yeah, but among them,
Yeah.
those are the ones, like the person you mentioned.
Yeah.
He is pursuing further education.
Yeah.
So is that a kind of group or segment that you're targeting through this, or is it wider?
Okay, so the platform will be first created based on the people in Bangladesh. Like there are so many discretely working different parts of the country. So my target is to collect this, to combine this effort, to bring this effort to a common platform, so that some organizations may be working in Rangpur and some are working in Chittagong. We will give a common platform so that they can know each other, they can share their materials with each other, and with combined efforts we can solve the problem. That is the mission.
Right, Zakaria, I have a few additional questions. You set out how this is going to work, and you mentioned a help desk that could be helpful in showing people how to access information. How would you get people to work on the help desk? How would you recruit them, and how would you finance that?
Okay, so actually this blind people community maintain a close relation and find someone, he or she can give you some, and the organizations that are currently working, they have a good collection or good information of these visual impaired people. So communicating with this organization, with the, I will bring them to this platform. They are efficient. If you give some train use the platform, it will be very easy for them to use.
Who would give training and who would finance it?
Okay, the NGOs is browsing which help them to do this job. Actually, I'm not from to give training. I'm creating a platform to bring this effort to a common platform so that the information can be shared with each other,
Right.
connecting them.
Thank you. Now I have one question on as well. You guys, early on in the presentation, you pointed out that books could be made available. Are you thinking about books for children or books for vocational training or all of it?
Actually, that will be create the text version of the books which are used in their academic purposes. Later, if we can create a backbone of the library, then we can enrich it by providing storybooks, vocational training books, etc. But first target is to create the books that are needed for their academic purposes.
That is clear. Thank you.
One question.
Yes.
Why you can?
Actually, I'm working in this sector for a couple of months. I have developed a low counter, and for that I got. It actually needs more time than to create an online platform, and that is why I'm motivated to make this happen. And I'm quite confident that I can make it happen.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Zakaria. Now 5 presentations are done. 2 more to go. get to the end of it, let's take a moment and look back at some of the funnier side of our participants from this year. Great memories, right? Ladies and gentlemen, we have two winners from last 2 years competition with us here today. Sami, 13, and Nosheen. Could you please stand up? A big round of applause for our winners from last year. Sami and Nosheen, a question to both of you. Tell us how was it like in Oslo? In brief, but in brief. How the weather, how competition, how are the other questions?
Well, it was the most remarkable experience of my life. I think treated so specially, and so it was throughout a 5-star experience.
It was one of the most exhilarating experiences of my life. That is just an understatement. I mean, getting to showcase your own talent on such a global platform with your international peers and getting to attend the Nobel Peace Prize concert, the preview of the exhibition, and the cherry on the top was that, and we got to do so much activities on the snow. It was my first time in the snow, so it's really cold. I would say take lots of warm clothes, and the future winner, whoever. All in all, it was brilliant. It was really brilliant.
Tell us one exciting part of last year's conference.
Exciting, or maybe, I don't know.
Whatever you feel like. What is the most memorable thing that, you have taken forward from that gathering?
Yes. First of all the sessions were really helpful, and all the sessions really helped me a lot to start thinking like an entrepreneur just from a change maker. But if you ask for my favorite moment, I would say that we could take a selfie with the Crown Prince of Norway. I think that was the most memorable part from the tour.
Would you like to add anything?
Yeah, we sat down, we honed up our ideas. It was very, very enlightening. I mean, it gets to go up close and get the organizational insights, get to see how proactive Telenor is in making social contribution when it comes to making progress technologically. I mean, it was brilliant.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your insight and your contribution.
Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, our winners from last year. Moving on, the 6th participant, Cyan Farooq from IBA.
name is Cyan. I'm from IBA, University of Dhaka, and I'm the co-founder of eSchool. eSchool is basically a study support system that uses very simple technology like SMS, IVR, and USSD, and it delivers lessons to people who don't have access to smartphone or the internet. So we have a model for dropouts who can go back and study and at the same time work and earn.
Cyan Farooq from IBA, please come on stage. Cyan, a general question from my side. Do you know how many seasons are there in Norway?
2.
All right. So which are the 2 ones?
Cold and very cold.
Almost very close. I had the answer ready. As like I was going to say, Norway has pretty much like 2 seasons. Seasons where they can ski and seasons where they cannot ski. It's that simple.
Okay.
So I know you're pretty much ready for it. Yep. And ready when you are.
Whenever you guys are ready. Similarly, every day, that's still for a living at my university. They don't study and they won't study because for generations, their families have been in a state of perpetual poverty. But you see, their problem is much deeper than that. There's a grim situation here in Bangladesh. Imagine a classroom where one teacher is attending to 54 children. And from those children, 6 out of 10 are not finishing their basic education. If these numbers are correct, then 2.3 million children are not finishing their basic education. And these children then go on to take up some menial jobs just to survive, just to keep their families alive. The future of these children is being lost while we tackle the wrong problem. And frankly, we've done a lot to the problem. We've offered free education, free books, and whatnot, but the problem still remains. You see, this is happening for 2 reasons. Firstly, when I say that education is free, it's not free. Education is a luxury for those who cannot afford it. If I am studying, then that time is lost income for me. And the opportunity cost is actually very high for poor families. And even if they don't make it to school, they don't get the support like we did from our parents. Lack of support has been cited as one of the leading causes of dropping out. So there needs to be a system that allows the children to study and work at the same time. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Cyan. I've been teaching for about 8 years now. My grandfather was a school teacher, so it comes very naturally to me. And my motto in life is that education can be the solution to the world's toughest problems. And I'm here to talk about our little invention called eSchool, or iSchool as the kids call it. eSchool is the world's first and only study support system that uses rudimentary technology like USSD, SMS, and IVR to deliver study support. It is not a substitute. It is rather an enhancement and an aid to those who need it. So you can have your books alongside that. A little background. eSchool won the Dell Education Challenge in 2013 and $1,000 in funding the next year. We're partnered up with Leeds Bangladesh. It's an NGO that runs a school in Dhanmondi. And of course, we're backed up by a dedicated team of students. And our board of advisors include professors and a cellular VAS value-added service provider. So how does eSchool's UI look like? Of course, it's designed for feature phones. Children's parents feature phones, of course. They don't have phones. So let's say you want to go to eSchool. So you dial *2015 hash. All the classes comes up, class 3, 4, 5, 6. So let's say you want to study class 5. So we press 3, comes up. Let's say we want to study our lesson plan comes up. We want a poem from a national poet came up. Because of Unicode, it is possible to have Bangla content. Read along. You scroll down, and because there's a character limit, you press hash to go and you get an exercise that you solve on a piece of paper. This is a system that is I'm using Microsoft PowerPoint. So let's say any point of the lecture you're confused. You don't know what a word means. So you press 0, and you get an SMS in return, and it further elaborates on the topic. The SMS will also tell you a string of numbers that you have to press to avail the IVR service. It's the same string of numbers that you press in the USSD. So you call 2015, call connects, You hotkey the number, and it takes you to the pre-recorded audio lecture. It is the most detailed, of course. So you have USSD and you have your books as the basic, and you have a support system yourself to feature phones only. Same content, you can come up with an app and website. This is the future actually, because you can encode an edutainment to it. As for the model, eSchool is designed for two types of children: the currently enrolled, who can access using the app or the website, and there is this active NGO network in Bangladesh that provides support to the underprivileged. Then comes eSchool. eSchool provides lessons using the cellular technology, backed up by donors who donate using text. It is much like the system that Jago uses to sponsor the education of one child. And at the end of the day, eSchool connects the two sides of the stories, and the end benefit boils down to the children. For dropouts, it works in a different manner. Firstly, they go and they register using their parents' phone number. It is designed for children who can read and write. Otherwise, they cannot use the system. Next up, the teachers familiarize the students on how to use the system that need to resolve. The presence of the teacher is, of course, very important because you cannot substitute knowledge with verbal knowledge. And the teachers have an extended role as a liaison with the parents so that the children do not drop out. The students attend classes during the weekday. I mentioned something about homework. Homework is important because you need to give the child a reason to go back to the school. And at the same time, you need to give our parents scholarships. My scholarships are big. You can have a leaderboard where students can see who's performing the best. A question that I always get is that why does eSchool to be mobile? Well, digital divide that we talk of, it's real. Not everybody has smartphones or laptops. If you look at our market, you'll see the reason is simple. You need a device to connect to the internet. So unless the day arrives where everybody has smartphones, you need a substitute. And these are the lovely kids at Leeds that we're. Currently, we have two partners, Leeds and Wintel. Wintel is the third-party value-added service provider. And at the end of the day, we would like to one day partner up with the Education Ministry and relevant